That's right, 35 damage on turn 3. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm going to be going over a new Kylo Red deck tech. It has been a minute since I've done a thing for Kylo Ren, and it's one of my favorite decks to just kind of tinker around with. It's like, you know what, let's just do dumb stuff with Kylo. It's kind of like my let's do dumb stuff deck. And here's my latest list of Kylo. Is it the best? Honestly, I have no idea, but man, is it the most fun that I've seen at least. It's got a ton of 1-drops and a ton of 2-drops. Not that many 3-drops. Obviously, it's got aggression because aggression is absurd in Double Red Kylo. But, I mean, beyond that, the deck has, like, 10 cards. I mean, it's technically 11. But 40 cards in the deck. Like, pretty much 80% of the deck you can play on turn 1. Which is nuts. So, let's go over it. Benthic 2 tubes, 1 resource 2/2. On attack, you give another aggression unit, raid 2, which there are only aggression units in this deck, so that's not an issue. It's basically like a 4-powered body for 1 resource, which is great for you. Cantina Braggart, I'm trying as a 2 of. It's honestly like a lot better than you would think, because your opponent looks at this and it's like, oh, this card's garbage. And they never care about it. But then it just racks up 2 damage over time. And with Kylo, this version of Kylo wanting to race the opponent as quickly as possible, this card just adding 2 more damage every single turn, it can add up. You know, it can add up. Then there's Death Star Stormtrooper, just classic 1 resource 3/1, out of set 1. Absolutely love the guy. It's got a new friend in First Order Stormtrooper, a slightly worse variant of Death Star Stormtrooper in my opinion. 1 resource 2/1, on attack, when defeated, you deal 1 indirect damage to a player. It can deal damage to their units, which can be useful. You can finish some stuff off with something like a Daring Raid, which I'll talk about later, or a Tarkintown, which deals 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. That can be decent. It can do some stuff for you, but most of the time, First Order Stormtrooper is just a worse Death Star Stormtrooper. Guavian Antagonizer, 1 resource 2/3, Saboteur. Really good statted body, but it has a bounty of drawing a card, which honestly you don't really care about that much. It's just good stats for 1 resource, and that's all you really care about in this deck. Kind of like with Mr. Bones, or 1 resource 3/1, that on attack, if you have no cards in your hand, which is kind of the goal of the deck, you deal 3 damage. 3 damage to a ground unit. And with a majority of this deck being in the ground arena, it's actually a pretty good way to manage the opposing board state and to get past some Sentinel stuff, or at least a lot more efficiently, because it can finish off some stuff that's really threatening against your board state in combination with something like a Tarkintown as early as turn 3. So that's pretty good for you. Then there is Reckless Gunslinger, which is a 1 resource 2/1 that when played deals 1 damage to each base, and you can smuggle it out for a couple of resources. It's a 2 of. I mean, it can be like a way to just get in a couple of extra unpreventable points of damage throughout the course of the game. And it's an easy thing that you can resource, but still get value out of later on in the game to get those last couple of points of damage in, which is why it's in the deck. Daring Raid, kind of same situation. It can also deal damage to some units. It's a 1 resource, basically shock. If you've ever played Magic before, it deals 2 damage to a unit or a base. In combination with Tarkintown, it can be almost kind of like 5 damage to a unit if you use Tarkintown, and you don't get to use it for the rest of the game, but still, it's decent. Then I got Force Throw in the deck as a 1 of. You make an opponent discard a card from their hand, and if you control a Force unit, which Kylo Ren, guess what, is a Force unit, and I got another Force unit in this deck, and Fifth Brother. But if you have a Force unit, you get to deal damage to a unit equal to a discarded cost, or card's cost, which can be powerful and a good way to finish off a unit or get something really close to being finished off, either with something like a Mr. Bones, a Daring Raid, a Tarkintown, doesn't really matter, but a ton of different ways. Then there's Bo-Katan Kryze, a 2 resource 3/3. It's when defeated can get you a card, which can be a good thing to a point to give you a little bit more fuel. Can be a bad thing if you need as much damage as possible for Kylo, but Either way, Bo-Katan is a 2-resource 3/3, and that is all that matters. Then there's another Bo-Katan, the one from set, the other one from set, no, that one's from set 3, sorry. My brain's just kind of dead right now. It's a 2-resource 2/3 that while you control another Mandalorian unit, like a Bo-Katan Kryze, it gets Overwhelming Saboteur, which can be a good way to get around Sentinel. But while you control another trooper unit, it gets +1 power. And pretty much every single unit in this deck is a trooper. What am I trying to say? Benthic 2 Tubes is a trooper. Stormtrooper is a trooper. The other Stormtrooper is a trooper. Guavian Antagonizer is a trooper. Another card that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, Partisan Insurgent is a trooper. There are a ton of troopers. The other Bo-Katan is a trooper. There are a ton of troopers in this deck. So that is almost always going to be a 2-resource 3/3, and sometimes it can get Overwhelming Saboteur too. Just some extra icing on the cake. Then there's Kylo's TIE Silencer, 2-resource 3/2 space unit, and then if you use Kylo's ability to discard a card from your hand and give a unit +2 power for the phase, if you discard something like a Kylo's TIE Silencer to that effect, then you can play from your discard pile for that turn, which is cool. Then there's OOM-Series Officer, just a good way to, like, hey, dealing 2 damage every turn, kind of like a Cantina Braggart, and the opponent, when they eventually realize that they can't ignore this 2 damage every single turn, when they kill this little 2/1, it has a 1 defeated of dealing 2 damage to a base. And if indirect damage is getting thrown around by opposing indirect damage decks, you can just deal a little point of damage to this little guy, and then make it that much easier, potentially, for you to kill the opponent's base, or to deal enough damage to kill the opponent. Whatever I'm trying to say. It's only 2 resources, so it's a decent card. Then there's Partisan Insurgent, 2-resource 1/4, but really it's a 2-resource 3/4, because it has raid 2 as long as you control another aggression unit, which, again, every single unit in this deck is aggression, so not really a problem for you. Then there's Armed to the Teeth as a 1-of in the deck, kind of like, I have a lot of, like, kind of just 2-ofs, 1-ofs, just kind of ways to make the deck just spread out a little bit more. Like the OOM-Series Officer 2-of, Partisan Insurgent 2-of, just to deal a little bit extra more damage. Armed to the Teeth, kind of same situation there. 2-resource, 2-powered upgrade that gives a 2-power buff to any unit, not just a non-vehicle, which can matter sometimes. And it says the attached unit gets this on attack of giving another unit +2 power for the phase. So essentially it's attaching an on attack of Benthic 2 Tubes onto another unit, in addition to giving it +2 power buff. And you can smuggle it out for, I believe it's like 4 resources later down the line. So it's decent. It's a good 1-of, and I mean, if you resource it, which most of the time you're going to, you can get value out of it later if you really need to, which is nice for you. Then there's Twice the Pride as a 3-of. It's a 2-resource 4-power boost upgrade that can be attached to any unit, but when you play it, you deal 2 damage to the attached unit. So something on a Kylo, if you put this on a Kylo, it goes down to 2 health, essentially, but it goes up 4 power, which can be really dumb. Especially if the opponent's ground arena is cleared, if you're playing against another space deck, or if you use your Mr. Bones, your Daring Raids, your Force Throws, your Tarkintown, stuff like that, to ensure that your opponent doesn't have any ground units to kill the Kylo Ren, so that you can take as much advantage as possible off of the Twice the Pride. But then there's Droid Missile Platform, a 3-resource space unit. It's a 4/2. When defeated, you deal 3 indirect damage to a player. Kind of same situation with the OOM-Series Officer, except it's a little bit better because it deals more damage. It's a pretty good statted body, honestly, for 3 resources. And it's when defeated, I mean, it's good. It's very good. It's a very good aggressive card, which is what this deck needs. Then there are 2-of in Fifth Brother. It's 3-resource 2/4. Gets raid 1 for each damage on it. And on attack, you can deal 1 damage to this unit and 1 damage to an opposing ground unit. While a lot of this deck does deal damage to ground units, and that is good for you to manage the ground arena, it doesn't deal a ton to space, which does suck for you, but granted, I just think that that's fine. I do want to touch on that. I think it's fine that this deck doesn't really care as much about the space arena, because in the ground, this can beat out almost any space deck, at least from what I can tell. I mean, there are going to be some games, obviously, where you're got a little bit of a clunkier start and your opponent just has like a god draw or just even a decent draw and they can still beat you out. But I don't know. I feel like the fact that this deck focuses so hardly on the ground arena and has so many ways to deal damage to ground units, I don't know. I can see it doing some pretty, yeah, whatever I'm trying to say. Then there's Fallen Lightsaber, 3 resource upgrade, gives a 3/3 buff. You attach it to a non-vehicle unit, and then if it's a force unit that you're putting Fallen Lightsaber onto, it gets a sweet on attack of dealing 1 damage to each ground unit the defending player controls anytime that unit, the attached unit, attacks. Which is decent for you, not bad at all. Yeah, it's really good for you. Then there's Aggression, 4 resource upgrade. You choose 2 in any order, whether it's drawing cards, defeating 2 upgrades, like pilots, for example, making a race against an opposing space deck a little bit easier, potentially. Readying a unit with 3 or less power, also a way to potentially race an opposing space deck a little bit quicker, or dealing 4 damage to a unit, not just ground units, might I add. So I don't know. Aggression is just a really good card. If you need removal for space, it could be some pretty good removal for space because it gets rid of upgrades like a pilot that are primarily the ways that space decks make something like an aggression a lot harder to, be able to manage and deal with a big space unit they have. But this deck is really powerful. It's really good. Again, is it the best version of Kylo? Probably not. Is it one of the most fun versions, at least that I've played? 100% yes. If you're just wanting to play a dumb, super fast glass cannon deck, this is the deck for you. With all that aside, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free and credits. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Enjoying more stupidity in this new meta, Jangaless meta, in the jump to Lightspeed meta, whatever I'm trying to say. See you next time. I'm gonna shut up now.